Welcome, everybody. It's Fausto Pugliese back on Cyber Traders podcast. And we have Jeff Hecklinski. Hope I said it right. Hecklinski.
You're good. You're good. I'm good.
Almost
Trust me,
got
I get
there.
it all the
Got
time.
there.
Now,
Well, wish
now you know
everybody,
why. Now you know why I go by Heck. It's easy.
yeah, heck. All right. What the heck? That's what they
Yes,
called
sir.
you. There you
Yes,
go.
sir.
All right. Well, happy Valentine's, everyone, for being here on this Friday. And really, really looking forward to talk about signing day sports here. Something we're doing a little bit different that we do here on the podcast. You know that we always bring people from all different types of gurus in the trading, in the institution markets. We'll talk a little about signing day sports, about their public company a little bit more at the end. But I'm just really, being a fan myself, in sports and stuff. And, I've done presentations and teaching NFL players, about the stock market and everything else. I thought this was a really, really good topic. And I think it's very educational, and I just love bringing entrepreneurs. So Jeff, welcome coming to the show. I mean, this is great. So, So Jeff, tell us a little bit about what is this whole thing about signing day sports?
Well, first, Fausto, thanks to you and Rich for having me on and having Signing Day Sports on. It's great to be here with you. Obviously, knowing your family, your brother, and everything like that. What an amazing people you guys are, and just excited to be a part of this with you. Secondly, happy Valentine's Day to everybody. Just a quick reminder: if you haven't gotten a card or some flowers, it's still early, so you can get out and get it. I've made that mistake several times in my life, and trust me, it's hard to live that one down. So. But really, this all stemmed from 25 years in college football. Major college football is my background, and there's just a lot of need right now in helping families and athletes get to the next level. We put so many resources, and I've had 3 kids. My wife and I have raised 3 kids that have gone through different between softball, baseball, and football. And have all gone through the recruiting process. 2 of them are still in college athletics. My daughter recently just finished up with the Cleveland Browns and is now headed to Texas A&M as their director of player engagement and coaching operations, and played major college softball. So I've seen the pain, I've seen the struggle, and I've seen it on both sides. Coaches are struggling right now. So we just streamlined the whole process, and it's really taken off right now.
Yeah, I mean, listen, you're right. I mean, it's one of the reason why you're here is, knowing a lot of my family members, like my brother, another entrepreneur, in himself, and, how we all started from nothing and worked our way up. And like you said, helping struggling families regarding about the whole concept of what the company does is it's just fabulous. And I can't wait to show people a little bit of your app and what it's doing for kids in high school, and how to get recruited, because it's difficult. I mean, I played football, and I know, and people know, whoever plays football here or any sport, they always want to get recruited, and it helps us to go to these colleges, because it's hard to be everywhere, and it costs a lot of money to get there, and we're trying to get that money so we can go cheaper to school or whatever it is.
Right.
But
Right.
this is really, this is definitely something great. So what inspired you guys to get this thing up and running?
Well, one of my former players actually created it, and it's something that he and I have talked about for a long time. And he started it, and I coached him all the way back. He was one of the first quarterbacks that I ever coached. He actually did it to help a couple quarterbacks that were having a hard time being recruited. We came up with this idea. He actually put the wheels in motion and got everything going. And without his vision, this wouldn't be here. And it goes a little bit deeper, because, our youth and our kids really are our future, and getting them, right now, a lot of them seem so roadblocked just throughout their courses of their entire life, and really opening up those doors and those avenues is really what the purpose of this is for. It goes beyond getting a scholarship. Obviously, we have great success. We're at 52% success rate for scholarship offers, but we're almost in the 90 percentile in helping kids get to college, helping them see what's out there, helping them see what all the different resources are, find scholarships outside of athletics. There's so many different avenues that we've actually taken with this thing, and just having discussions and webinars and different things that we do with our clients, that just, it's been great to connect with people around the country, hear their stories, and help them advance in what they want to do.
So maybe you can explain just really quick, and then we're going to go to your app and want to show you one exciting part of it. So what is the exact purpose, and how has, signing day sports solved, young athletes' problems?
The issue is twofold. One, with COVID, and when COVID hit, athletic budgets were cut, and you got to eliminate a little bit of the Power Fours, the Texas A&Ms, the Michigans, the Ohio States, the Georgias. Eliminate them because their budgets are unlimited for football. But that's really only 64 to 67 schools out of almost 600 universities that play football. So I'm just talking football alone. Okay, so what we're able to do is we're able to be the bridge to the relationship piece and bring players to coaches and coaches to players and immediately start building those relationships. We're all on relationship businesses. We're all relationship based. Everything is built off that relationship, and so is recruiting. And so if we can connect players, families, and coaches together, we actually start that process. We streamline it so a coach can see it, so a player knows how to upload and do everything in the process that a coach is looking at it. So there's no misinformation, there's no downtime, and then we can make those connections and start to build that relationship, which hopefully leads either to some type of scholarship offer or either a roster spot. A roster spot. You got to remember, Division III, Division II. There's very little money. There's no money in Division III. Very little money in Division II. So those roster spots become critical now with the way the NCAA rules are structured. Also, so we're able to make those connections, and that's our whole goal.
Well, could you show us an example from on how that app actually does work? Because the technology I saw, I signed up for it. And I was just amazed. First, it's so easy and so streamlined. It's just great. And I know we have some great stories we want to share that you have done also. Have you changed people's lives? Because like I said, I remember myself, I would love to play college football, and I tried to go to 2 different places, and they wanted to go to 30, but I couldn't. But the way you guys have it set up, and the way you make, and I know you guys are exploring not just football, but I know you're getting into other sports. I think I saw you have basketball you're getting into. Sports are unlimited. You got volleyball. You got, my kid's big in wrestling. Hockey. Yep. It just goes on and on and on. So I know this is you're just starting out there, but let's just show a little bit of the audience out there exactly what that system does, and then we'll talk about those great stories, how you change other people's lives.
Great. And you can see my screen. It says J.R. Hecklinski, and you have his profile up, correct?
Yep.
You're good with that. Okay. So the first part of this is your base profile builder, right? But it's all the pertinent information that's needed for a coach. Okay. Where he lives, what high school he's at. And you can see it has the finder button here, so they can click it, so they can see exactly where that is. It has the finder button here with Liberty High School, so they can see where that is, his position. He has his bio where he puts in his all conference and all that stuff in there, his jersey number. And then right here, if you can see my mouse, those are all of his socials and his huddle film. And so this will take you right now, if you click that button, this will take you directly to his huddle film. Okay. And it uploads his huddle film for a coach to be able to see. Okay. So that's first and foremost. That's really the first part of what a coach is going to look at. Then right now, what a coach is going to say is, okay, he's supposed to be 6'2". And for us as coaches and being in this, okay, everybody puts down that they run a 4.4. Everybody puts down that they're 6'4". You know what I'm saying? What we're doing is we're giving the verification to a coach to say, hey, this is what's real. So he can see the kid being measured, and then he steps away, and then there he is at 6'2". Okay, so we run combines around the country with our partnership with one of the top All-American games in the country, the U.S. Army Bowl. And we actually do these combines around the country. It has his academic profile, okay, and coaches can download and request to download the transcript. We have to protect that. But then you get to the testing part of it, okay? So here's your 40, here's your shuttle, your 5, 10, 5. Here's the things that a coach is going to look at. So let's just take JR squat here. Let's just take JR squat here. So if somebody put a 565 squat in high school, I'm going to say, hey, that's probably not right. I'm probably going to take 60 pounds. But now the coach can actually see him squatting 565. They can see his bend. They can see his athletic ability and his hips, knees, and ankles. So those are things like when I look at this as a coach, and I'm just going to play this again. I don't mean to be technical. I'm watching his hips, his knees, and his ankles. Okay. So if his heels come off the ground, I know he lacks flexibility. Okay. I'm looking to see if he can get parallel. So see that bar? I'm looking to see if his hips can get to that bar, which they do. They get to that bar. So that tells me he's a parallel squatter. So for an offensive lineman, he has hip strength, he has hip flexibility, he has knee flexibility, he has ankle flexibility. That right there tells me that he's athletic. So there's things as a coach, just like you guys as traders know, right? You guys as traders, you guys have pinpoints that you're looking at, and you know the trends. We're looking for those same trends. Okay. All of our technology. So when you look at his 40-yard dash, all of our technology is electronic. So we laser time everything that we can laser time.
Just the same kid?
So this is JR. This is my son.
Okay.
So everything's right there. So everything's laser time. So you can see him run. He's laser timed. And then it comes up 5, 3, 2, 4. So they see the actual laser time. So there's no discrepancies in anything that's taken place. And so my son enrolled early. He's an offensive center at New Mexico State. So he's at New Mexico State right now.
Oh, nice.
And this is how we did it. And then so they asked, so we did all this, okay? And the coaches, every coach that we were talking about said, hey, look, we like them. We're going to come out in spring, but we can't get out until these dates. Can you get us some early spring clips? So they were able to go in, and you're able to put in spring clips, and I'm gonna find one for you here. They wanted to see some center snap stuff, right? Because he plays guard, and they wanted to see him actually snap and have to protect. So we were able to upload clips where a coach then can see him snap and go through protection and see him actually move. Okay. And so from that standpoint, they got an early jump start on everything. Okay. They came out, they watched him live then when they could get out. We went to camps in June. He got offered and he picked New Mexico State, and he's at New Mexico State right now as an early enrollee freshman. So he's actually getting a jump start on everything. And that's how we streamline this. And then on the other side, and I can't show this, on the other side for the athlete, they have an actual coach's search. So an athlete on his phone. So everything for the athletes are done on the phone. On the phone is a coach's search where you can search every coach, every university, every school in the country. You can sort it by state. You can sort it by conference. You can sort it by level. And it gives you everybody's email address and all their socials so they can create those contacts immediately. They can do everything through the app. So it's really player driven, and we're teaching players and families how to drive their own recruiting and not wait on other people.
So all the colleges are connected to this, and this is where they're looking at, and just
the colleges don't need to be connected to this because the players are sending it to the coaches directly.
Okay, they send right to direct. I think I saw that.
Yeah,
I think I read there.
We're creating the direct link. So if you look right here for JR, this button right here is an email button for JR. Okay, JR can come in here and send any email anywhere. Okay, and then send the link that he wants to send. Okay, wow. to any coach. And then the link sends everything. And then from there, once you send the link, as soon as you update it, it sends a push notification everywhere it's been sent that says J.R. Hecklinski has updated his Sign In Day Sports profile. Go check it out. So anytime he adds clips, it's automatically updated.
Wow.
It never has to be resent.
That is so cool. And then what I noticed too, when I signed up, it was actually pretty easy to sign up. I mean, in a way of like just your portal page is already made. I mean, everything's pretty streamlined. And I was actually writing my school, and you actually, it's weird. I live in Manhasset. It said Manhasset Middle, Manhasset, like whatever different types of schools. So basically, it looks like you have everything already plugged in there. I think it only took me literally, I don't know, like maybe 5 minutes to get everything all set up, but it's pretty self-explanatory.
Right. We all know simplicity is king, right? As soon as something becomes complicated, it's human nature for us to walk away on both sides of the transaction. And this is transaction based. We got to remember that. As traders, you guys are making transactions every day. You're making transactions based on the information you have in front of you. Coaches are making transactions. They're making decisions on players. Players are doing the same things with coaches in communications and relationships. So all those transactions are taking place. And if it becomes complicated, the transaction dies. It never goes anywhere. So our whole purpose of this was to streamline the process, simplify the process, make it easy for the athlete and the family to put everything that's needed, and then make it easy for the coach. So this is exactly how a coach would look at it. He would look at it
Okay.
this exact same way. So it is both web-based and native-based. And so he will look at it both ways. It shows the exact same way. This is exactly what a coach gets, and this is exactly how he looks at it. And then if he wants to view the transcript and request a transcript, he can request it right there. Certain emails, most coaches come from EDU emails, right? Because they're at university. So it's automatically approved if it's an EDU email, and the transcript will be emailed to them. So there's no more,
that's how
there's no more
coaches will
work.
interact with the app. Is that how they would interact with the app themselves if they wanted to?
Yes.
The scouts and the coaches?
Yep. So
Oh,
for me, so I'm looking at this as a coach. So that's why when I click this email button here for JR, or if let's say, okay, I like JR, right? I'm going to click here and go to his Twitter. Okay. So here's his X. Okay. Okay. Oh, there you go. Okay. So I actually, believe it or not, I don't follow my own son on Twitter, but follow him. Okay. Sorry, I got to log in. But then I would be able to send him direct DMs right there. Okay.
okay.
I want to do the same thing on Instagram, and there's his Insta. And then if I want to email him, this is going to jrhecklinski@gmail.com. Okay. And it's coming from my email, jeff@hecklinski@gmail.com. The coaches would be their email right there. So they're doing everything through the app also. They never have to leave the app to communicate with a player, and a player never has to leave the app to communicate with a coach.
Now, is this also a desktop and app also? Can they do both?
Yeah. So web-based and native-based. So when I say web-based, like I'm on my Mac right now. So this is how a coach would look at it on a Mac. Okay. It is also native-based, so it goes directly into the app. So if JR were to text this to me, it would show this exact same way in the app. So it reads the exact same way. It's buttoned out in the app where you got measurables, academics, testing, where you click the button and it takes you to the different screens, because an app has to be scaled down. But it shows the exact same way, and it holds the exact same way. So all of these right here that I put on for JR, they show all the exact same way in the app, right on the phone. And really, we're meant to be phone to phone. If you think about all your transactions in today's world, generally they're phone to phone. We operate mostly off of our phone. Probably 95% of our business is all done off our phones.
Of course.
We took recruiting into the business world, if that makes sense.
It does. It does. So what's the biggest miscommunication athletes and parents have about getting recruited?
Probably that the recruiting is going to come to them, and coaches come to them. There's a top 5% in the country that happens for. Okay. And those are the major players. Those are the top 100 kids in the country. But there's 1.3 million football players in the country at the high school level at the recruitable age. So you take the top 100 to 150 out, and then you there's another, say 1 million players sitting there that need help, and they have to search it. Like for JR in retrospect, and I do a lot of analogies. So in trading terms, right? JR is that stock that you like, but you're really not just enthused about putting money into and saying, yeah, this is the one. I like it. I'm following it. I like it, but I just can't hit send. Do you know what I'm saying?
We happened to us today. It's like, one of our big runners today in trading this morning, we were trading, what we'll call it, DraftKings. DraftKings been doing great with because we're talking football. So DraftKings obviously has been doing well. I mean, we just had the Super Bowl came up, and and this is the misconception, like you have, like some people like, I like that stock, but I'm really not. I'm not in that industry. I really don't care for it. But like I'm not in the gambling business. I'm not in but the stock is doing great. So what are you gonna do? Just sit there and just watch it go up? Because like you just said, like some of these kids, like they might be great at something, and this guy's like, well, I'm not really a fan of that town or that person, whatever it is, and they look at it and it really. Or even like you said, a parent. They're like, I was never thinking, like, I can't find that school, and all of a sudden, is this real school really interested? Would never known if he was on this app, And they're like, I never really thought about going there, but why the hell not, right?
We're located in Phoenix, and I've spent 9-10 years on the West Coast. Okay, so one thing people don't understand: if I live on the West Coast, 85% of the football playing schools are Texas East. So if I draw a line from Texas and I draw it straight up, so if I draw basically El Paso, Texas, and I draw it straight up, 85% of the football playing schools are east of that line.
Okay.
So if I'm a kid and I'm on the West Coast, I'm sitting in California, I'm sitting in Oregon, I'm sitting in Washington, and I say, I want to stay close to home, my opportunities are going to be very restricted and limited because most of the schools are going to sit east of Texas. And people don't know that. People don't realize that. And just getting them to understand the geographic layout of where football schools are, college football, where college football is played. I mean, and then they're like, oh man. And then all of a sudden you say, what do you want to study? And they say, well, I want to study petroleum engineering. I'm a 4.5 on a 4-point scale. But did you know Colorado School of Mines, a Division II school right in Denver, is the #1 petroleum engineering school in the country? And oh, by the way, academically, you're going to qualify for almost a full scholarship. Let's make that connection. Wow. Didn't even know that.
Right.
That option would have never even been presented. And that's all we're trying to do is just lay out the options, open the doors, create the relationships, and then let them take hold of their whole process. And what are we teaching our young people to do? Communicate. We're teaching them to speak. We're teaching them on how to use social media for a positive way, because really you can search everything in social media, and there's a lot of great things about social media that you can use it for. And we're teaching them how to go get what they want, go find it, go search it, and go do it. And those are the three basic things that we talk about. And it's really resonated right now.
And by the way, everybody, we're gonna post up the link in just a little bit. If you have the link, we could post to them. If anyone wants to sign up and sample it and demo it, Rich, I know we got the link up there. Maybe you could just give them that how to sign up for and enter. Basically to get Signing Day Sports as the app and just play around with it. But I want to kind of touch upon also. If you got the link right there.
I'm going to take you to this. So this has all of our combine. This has all of our information. So it has our NYSE symbol. Okay. It has our X. It has our IR website. It has our main website, and has our combine website. Okay. And if you're in the App Store, you just search Signing Day Sports.
All right, cool. So getting back to now everybody understands a little bit more of the product. I want to talk about. I'm more interested about your finances. So, what's new for Signing Day Sports? What's going on with the company now? I know you just went public not too long ago. Is that right?
We went public November 14th of 2023. So we reached our year status here November 14th of 2024, and which is great. Obviously, being new to this world and going into the public markets on the NYSE, it's been a grind. And I don't think anybody who tells you different, it's just a grind. It just is. It's a great grind. We love it. But it's just, there's just a lot to it every day. So we passed our year marker. So we've been about 15, 16 months public now. And just remember, I can disclose anything that's public. So I'll disclose to you guys and be upfront and transparent with you on everything that's public knowledge. We are in the middle of a acquisition with a company called Swifty Global, which, speaking of gambling, and they are an international gambling company, and they have great top line revenue and great resources. So we're in the middle of that acquisition right now, and we're excited about where this is going to lead us. We think with both, because they're a technology driven company, we're a technology driven company. The common theme is, or the common question we get is, how are you going to cross high school recruiting with gambling? We're not. We're crossing technologies. And so their technology is going to be able to help enhance and grow our technology. And then we're, obviously going to be able to help them and bring them into different markets here on the North American continent.
Yeah, no, I saw that that news that came across, and the stock did really, really well when the news broke. And and it looks like the merge is going to be coming effect, I think, any day now. I think you said. Is that when it's going to be?
We're still in this process. And so as we've learned through 2.5 years of coming through the public process, going through the entire S1 process, timelines we are not in control of. All the different regulators and all the different information and everything that we have to do and supply really create a timeline. And so, there's times where we thought, man, we're going public, we're 24 hours, we're 48 hours. In fact, I'll tell you a funny story. We were going public on Monday, November 13th of 2023. So we were all flying out on Friday, spend a week in New York, and we were going to be on the floor and do all that stuff when we were going to IPO. And I'm about to board a plane with our COO, Craig Smith, and Danny Nelson, our CEO calls me and says, "Hey, have you boarded the plane yet?" And I said, "We said no." And he says, "Good, we've been held. We won't get cleared until Monday. So if you can push your flight to Monday." And it was a procedural thing that we were not in control of, that we got taken care of on Monday, and then we ended up going, I think it was Tuesday morning, IPOing. So those are things that take place that are just they're out of people's controls. And I think when you're on the inside of it, you wish you could explain that more. The regulators and everybody on their end have a job to do. They're very good. They're very intelligent, and their job is to protect all you guys as traders. And so we don't control what comes back and what we have to answer. Obviously, if we could speed it up, we would, but we can't. And so, we're just in that process right now. We're positive. We everything is moving along great. Everything is advancing at the rate that it should be advancing. And, we think it's going to be in a quick turnaround here.
I actually remember that. I remember that day very well when you guys went public on the New York Stock Exchange. In this thing, ladies and gentlemen, this is not a small cap stock. It's not a penny stock, but it's a NASDAQ national stock. So I remember it's a big deal to be on it. I know how strict the regulators are, and they have to, because you want to make sure as reputation goes for them. They want to make sure they have a company that's going to do well for them. But I remember that. Danny Nelson, great guy. You have a great everyone on your staff, everyone that is part of your, that runs it is unbelievable.
We do. Danny Nelson is our CEO, and he's run a financial management company for athletes and done a lot of work in the athletic space. Craig Smith is our COO. We've worked together. Craig and I have worked together for 10 years, 8 of it on the college football side. He came with me. There's only one person that I would have ever considered bringing and doing this with, and that's Craig. And then our board of directors, spectacular. Peter Boris, based out of New York, very involved in the markets. Roger Mason, who played 13 years in the NBA and was the NBA Players Association, head of the NBA Players Association for a long time. And Greg Economou, who's credited with really taking the NBA to the global markets, as our marketing director. So we got a great board. We got great people inside. Our 2 heads of our team on the ground are Tyler Funk, who was a 15-year college football coach, and then JJ Kilgore, who was a player personnel director at Arizona State. So we got tremendous people that are involved in the market. We know the market, and obviously we're very football driven, but we're looking forward to the acquisition taking hold and building this out into other areas to be able to help kids across the country and eventually being global across the world.
So what and just really quick, where are we going? Where are you going with this in the future? Where do you see as the growth going? What are you bringing in, or what do people also expect? Because, like I said, my son wrestles, and he's pretty talented, and so on, and or anything, hockey or basketball or girls, even floor hockey, whatever it may be, or lacrosse, especially the town I live in. Long Island is very well known for some of the top lacrosse players. So where are you guys going to be going with this? You're going to be able to expand there? Is anything that can be coming in soon?
I think, we're already football, baseball, softball, and soccer. So and men's and women's soccer. So we're already there. And there's brand building that takes hold in all of these things. And I liken it back to this. If anybody's, and I'm going to age myself and Fausto, I you got gray hair like I got gray hair, so you might remember this. So please.
I dye a little bit too. Don't mind me. I have to use it.
My wife's trying to get me to it. I just can't bring myself to that moment. I don't know if I can admit that.
See my brother's hair.
If you remember back to Nike, when Nike first started, they were selling Nike out of Phil Knight was selling it out of the trunk of his car at track events, and Nike was a track shoe. It was a cross country shoe. And all of a sudden 3 words came, and it was just do it. And then all of a sudden now this thing explodes. And it goes from, a situation all of a sudden to what we know as Nike today. And most people know Nike as the grand giant that it is today. I remember the first pair of Jordans that came out, And at the time, Nike wasn't even in basketball. Like that was like the first really true basketball shoe for Nike. And anybody that's seen the movie, I lived that. And not knowing that he was the first person that got, dividends and got pieces of the sales and all that stuff. But I mean, I was wearing Converse because I was a basketball player. And at the time, Converse was the basketball shoe. That was the Larry Bird and the Magic Johnson shoe. Nobody wears Converse now.
Nobody
You know what I'm
is.
saying? So it's about flipping the market. And our exciting goal with this acquisition is to be able to flip the market. And we think through the technology build outs. There's obviously a lot of AI that can be involved in this that we're exploring, but it has to be done in a sequential timeline that makes sense to the users. And if it doesn't make sense to the users, we go back to being complicated again. And like we talked about earlier, as soon as it becomes complicated, people walk away. And so we're trying to do this in a timeline and a sequence of events that becomes user friendly to both users, both the athletes and the families and the coaches, and it makes sense. And the build out makes sense from the business standpoint. Our first goal is always to protect our shareholders. Every decision that's made is to protect our shareholders and grow our shareholders. And we do everything based on growing the business and representing our clients and our customers to the best ability that we can. And that's really what we're looking for in our future.
And the growth you would say on subscribers and stuff, how you see that happening? I mean, what do you see on your growth?
I can't give you the final number because our K is not released. Our K will be released sometime here in the next 30 days. Okay. But what I can tell you is from 2022 to right now, you can see our Q, and our Q is going to go. You can see our third quarter Q. We went from about 1,000 to about 3,000 to about 5,000 on our last Q and Q3. So I mean, you're seeing steady growth. Our sales are up anywhere between 25 to 30%. So we're constantly growing, and really the big build out is retention and building that retention and starting them. We have players that start with us from 7th and 8th grade, and they stay with us. They've stayed with us. So a lot of the top quarterbacks that you're going to see right now, if you're big college football fans, a lot of the top quarterbacks that you're seeing getting offers and starting to commit, we have worked with. And so, through all of our partnerships at Quarterback Universe, the U.S. Army Bowl, we've worked with a lot of the top players around the country. And again, you're relationship driven, and our business is relationship driven with our partnerships, and we're looking to grow our partnerships. EDP in soccer, how we get it to coaches with Catapult and some of the major systems that are available to college coaches. We're integrated into those systems. So we're constantly looking at building the relationships. We obviously have a very strong relationship in basketball with Roger Mason and with Greg Economo, and then also on the U.S. Army Bowl, Rich McGinnis and Goat Farm Sports. They run the 5 largest women's tournaments in the fall. So we're excited about where we're headed. We think there's great growth and great technology growth because all this is built on technology.
Jeff, I love what you're doing. I love what Danny Nelson's doing. I love what you guys are doing. That's why I wanted you guys on. I mean, I could see this thing just being endless right now. I mean, I'm just sitting there as you're talking. I'm thinking like I could be on your board too and tell you like, we could do this, we could do that. I mean, it really is endless. I mean, if I came up to you, right, and I told you I had an idea, right, and I said, I'm going to share my life with people, what I do every day, you'd be like, why would you do that? Well, look what Facebook did. Right. Because that's where Facebook. If I told you I want to sit there and talk to tell people where I'm going today, and be like, well, why would you do that? That sounds so stupid. What happened to Twitter? Right. So, so I get back to you, we're getting about sports, by you explaining it, it just makes sense. You know what I mean? It's not like, and I understand, like, if anyone here has children, or I know we have some older people in here and they have grandkids, whatever, what they go through and the amount of commitment with sports. And I mean, just seeing your son, I mean, it freaks me out that he could lift that much. My God, he's just an ox, man. I'll tell you, congratulations. I could,
like I told you, he's that stock you really like that some people, I mean, if he was 6'4", 6'5", he probably would have been one of that, because he's my son, and I have the ability to separate because I coached for 25 years, places like Michigan and Illinois and Kansas, so I've been around the country. but he's a good football player, but he's 6'2". And so, you know, he's the prime example of the athletes that need help.
Right.
And you know, my son's pitching at McKendree University. He's a left-hander. He just had Tommy John. Same thing. We use this same model for him. And then my daughter played at Indiana, softball at Indiana, and then finished at Indiana State. And it was the same thing. And so there's so much out there. And if you were to come to me with an idea, you know, I would tell you very simply, all ideas are good ideas. There's never a bad idea, but
Right.
it's how does it fit in our
I
timeline,
deliver it.
and how does it enhance the user experience for our customers and clients and grow our shareholder base.
Yeah.
And it's somewhere in there, and now it's how we get there. And you know, the one thing I'll tell you about the team, Danny Nelson, Craig Smith, myself, our board, Peter Boris, Roger Mason, and Greg Economo, we're in this fight, and we're committed to this fight because you guys know on the trading side, you see it every day. You've been a part of this a lot longer than I have. You see businesses where people aren't committed, and that fight hits them, and it's almost, you know, it's a back away mentality, and you don't have those people here. We're in this fight, and we're in it for the long haul.
Yeah, I mean that has a lot to do. I mean, I trade so many stocks out there. I can't even think of it. And people always come up to me and they said, "Oh, did you hear about this company? What they do?" And like, you know, a lot has to do about who's on the board and the commitment, how much they love, and going down. You know, just really
Yeah.
that's what really makes the company. You know what I mean? Networking has a lot to do with it. Like you got the connections of with the colleges, this and that. I mean, I have friends of mine had some great ideas, and they were like, "My God, that's an amazing idea." But you know what? They're like, they didn't know where to start. It didn't have the connections, and it never went anywhere. And that's why I love bringing entrepreneurs like all of you guys on the show, because the thing is, and the people in here, I mean, it really, you put your head down to it. And if you're in that industry and you know it needs something, eventually it's going to take off. But Jeff, thank you so much.
Well, I appreciate you. And you got a lot of high level people out there, but the company has to have the people that can bring it down to one single point and get in the weeds and build it.
Right.
And that's really where we are. We got a bunch of people that are in the weeds that are building every day. So we're excited about where we're at. I can't thank you enough. I mean, if anybody who's listening, please thank you for being a part of our experience and our journey. You know, every day is a great day for us, and we're building something that we think is very unique and special. So happy Valentine's Day, and don't forget flowers and a card. There's still time.
And maybe lobster tails and a fillet.
Hey, yeah. My wife just left, so I got to set up the whole apartment because she runs.
You know what I got my wife? You know what I got my wife for Valentine's Day? A new washing machine.
Oh my gosh, that's bad.
Today. She's like, "Oh, thanks, honey."
I appreciate that. See, my wife is an owner and runs a clinical research lab here in San Diego because we were based, you know, our last job was at San Diego State. And so she got started in the clinical research side. I'm based in Phoenix and around the country. So we spend about every other weekend together. So I'm glad she's out the house now so I can set up Valentine's Day for her.
Listen, people are loving it. And by the way, you got the link up there. Just, you know what? Go out there. Everyone share it. We will have this thing recorded. We'll have some highlights of it. We'll have a couple highlights we'll keep putting out there, but we'll have the long version. So I know it was like last minute for everybody, you know, to find out a little bit more about it. I know we rushed. We usually plan these a lot more ahead, but definitely go out there. Anyone you know that has any kids out there that really is trying to go out there. Because listen, not to kind of like, we all want our kids to go to the top schools, the Michigans, the Texas A&M, which, by the way, I was there, which was the most incredible experience. And I think anyone goes there is like, I'm not going anywhere other than that. But no, you know what? There are so many other schools, like you mentioned, and there's a million kids that are playing football, and forget about all the other sports. There's so many colleges out there. They will find somebody. You will find a home for them. And, you know, money's tight. Schools are ridiculous expensive, you know, and some of them have the money to give the scholarship to somebody, but just need to know where to look. And that's why I love what you guys are doing. So, Jeff, you know, thanks again.
I didn't put my Twitter handle on there. I kept it more about the business. But if anybody needs to reach me, my DMs are open, and it's just my name, at Jeff Hecklinski. So my name's spelled down there. You can see it underneath me. So
you can just type it in the chat right there, or type it in the message, and then we'll just post it for everybody to see it there.
That sounds great.
Side. All right, there you go. There it is. There we go. All right, guys. Thanks for listening, everybody. And Jeff said thanks for coming, and say hello to Craig and say Danny Nelson. You know,
Will do.
tell them I said hello, and look forward you guys to come out again when you come back to New York.
Yes,
We'll have
sir.
fun.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you guys, and everybody have a great weekend.
All right. Bye-bye, everyone. Happy Valentine's Day.